And the big story that we are discussing over here comes in from Karnataka for the urban debate today. It's the season of elections in Karnataka. And we are just months away from what is expected to be a tight contest between the BJP and the Congress party. If you have been following the news, it's clear that there are multiple poll issues in the state. The condition of the roads is a major one, so is the recent quota agitation and the traffic congestions of Bengaluru. But the BJP has been talking about a totally different issue, love jihad. Last month, the BJP's state president, Nalin Kateel, made a bizarre proclamation. He said, roads and developments do not matter. What matters is tackling love jihad. Let's take a listen to that speech.
ಮೋರಿ ಚರಂಡಿ ಸಣ್ಣ ವಿಷಯದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಬೇಡಿ. ವೇದವ್ಯಾಸ ಹೋದಾಗ ಕೈ ಎತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ನಳಿನ್ ಕುಮಾರ್ ನಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ. ನಳಿನ್ ಕುಮಾರ್ ನಕ್ಕು ನಿಮಗೇನು ಬಂಗಾರ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಬದುಕಿನ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಲವ್ ಜಿಹಾದ್ ಅಂತ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಬೇಕಿದ್ರೆ ಭಾರತೀಯ ಜನತಾ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಬೇಕು. ಲವ್ ಜಿಹಾದ್ ಅಂತ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಬೇಕಿದ್ರೆ ಭಾರತೀಯ ಜನತಾ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ.
Now, hearing that speech, you would think that love jihad is a major issue in Karnataka. Maybe thousands of young women are brainwashed and converted in the name of love. But turns out that that's not the case. We have accessed a written reply by the Home Ministry on love jihad in Karnataka, and it reveals two important things. Number one, that the Karnataka government does not have a formal definition for love jihad. And number two, only 3 such cases have been filed in the state so far, 3 cases in a state of more than 6.7 crore people. And what does that tell you? Perhaps love jihad is a major issue in other states, but in Karnataka, according to the government's own data, it's a non-issue. So the obvious question then is, what was Nalin Kateel talking about? From the looks of it, it was a clear plan to polarize the voters and put a communal angle to the upcoming elections, to divert the attention from the real issues like roads and jobs. We spoke to Karnataka's Home Minister about love jihad. He says, definition or not, marriage conversions are a threat to national security. Let's take a listen.
ಅವರವರ ಧರ್ಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಬದುಕಬೇಕು. ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂವಿಧಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಥೇಚ್ಛವಾದಂಥ ಅವಕಾಶಗಳಿದ್ದಾವೆ. ಆದರೆ ಒಂದು ಧರ್ಮದವ್ರನ್ನ ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಧರ್ಮಕ್ಕೆ ಮತಾಂತರ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು ಅಪರಾಧ ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದ ಏಕತೆ ಮತ್ತು ಸಮಗ್ರತೆಯ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಿಂದ ಅಪಾಯ ಇದು. ಈ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ನಾವು ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಮತಾಂತರ ನಿಷೇಧ ಕಾಯ್ದೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದು ಮದುವೆ ಆಗುವಂಥದ್ದು ಇದು ಕನ್ವರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗಿಯೇ ಮದುವೆ ಆಗುವಂಥದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಅದನ್ನು ತಪ್ಪಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ವಿಶೇಷವಾದಂಥ ಅವಕಾಶಗಳು ಅಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಾವೆ. ಆ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ನಾನು ಹೌಸಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅವಕಾಶ ಇದೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಡಿಸಿಗೆ ಇವರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ದೇನೆ ಒಂದು ಮತದವರು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಮತದವ್ರನ್ನ ಮದುವೆ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಏನು ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ಹೇಳ್ದೇನೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ತಿಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಅರ್ಲಿಯಾಗಿ 1 ತಿಂಗಳ ಮೊದಲು ತಿಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕು, ಅವ್ರು ನೋಟಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಹಾಕಬೇಕು, ಅವ್ರು ಒಪ್ಪಿಗೆ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು, ಇದೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಇದ್ದಾವೆ. ಹಾಗೇನಾದ್ರು ಆಗಿದ್ದರೆ ಆಗಲಿ, ಏನೂ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಆದರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಸರಿಯಾದ ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಕಾನೂನುಬದ್ಧವಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಹಾಗೆ ಕ್ಲಾರಿಟಿ ನಾವು ಆ ವರ್ಡ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಅವೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಒಳಗೊಳ್ತದೆ. ಆ ವರ್ಡ್ ನಾವು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅದರಷ್ಟೇ.
Needless to say, the opposition has pounced on this discrepancy. They are saying that issues like love jihad, hijab and halal have been created by the BJP for electoral gains. Let's take a listen to what the opposition party leaders have to say.
The party president only says, don't go for development, go on love jihad. So we request the Home Minister and the BJP people to give a counseling for the BJP president and BJP office bearers who talks on those things.
My question was asked by the Honorable Congress MLA Priyank Kharge, the definition of love jihad. The Home Minister doesn't even know what he's talking about. There are only 3 cases and BJP wants to fight their entire election on the basis of love jihad. We all know whether it is halal, hijab, love jihad, all these things are only for electoral purposes. I would like to tell the BJP, I am the rulers of BJP. Just because you want to come to power, kindly don't destroy the beautiful state of Karnataka. Love jihad is fake, is a facade thing. which was created only for electoral purposes. There is absolutely nothing like that is happening.
And to discuss this further, I am joined by our esteemed panelist of guest this evening, Anurag Naidu, who is an author, Brijesh Kalappa, a leader of the Aam Aadmi Party and senior advocate. I'm also joined by Kishore Subramaniam, who is the founder of Shri Consultants, also activist Brinda Adige. A very good evening to all of you, and I appreciate you taking out time and joining us here at Mirror Now as we discuss this very important issue. My first question would, of course, go across to Anurag Naidu. Mr. Naidu, how do you look at the statement that was made by the Home Ministry? No data, no definition. But you want to try and make this your election issue ahead of the Karnataka polls. What is the pressing urgency to try and rake up issue like a love jihad, where you have got no such concrete cases or numbers in place, instead of taking up the issue of infrastructure, roads and jobs?
Samia, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. Nobody's taking this up. I mean, there is contradiction in your own statement when you're saying there is no data, there are only 3 cases, and then your own saying that, you guys are taking it up. When I'm saying you guys, I'm not representing a party, but, as they say, the BJP is taking up. But I can only, understand the pain of the other side when contentious topic like love jihad are being discussed in when it comes to the state like Karnataka. It is a reality, not only the state of Karnataka, it is a reality all across India. It's one of the issues that we are all concerned about, and not everything that we have today in India, or not every crime or not any wrongdoing ends up in a police station or ends up in a court. Just because you don't have cases registered against, just because you don't have convictions, that does not mean that you do not have this concept of love jihad at all. So it is not only, pertaining to Karnataka, but all across. There are several issues over the last 5 years. If you see, you just go through the archives of the debates that we had on Mirror Now, on other news channels as well, you will find out that there have been several debates around this, particularly when it comes to the states of Karnataka. So just to say that there is nothing of any sort like this would be gross injustice to the people who have been persecuted because of this concept and who have been the victims of love jihad. So with all due respect, I do not want to rubbish the fact that there is no love jihad at all, or there is no any such act when it comes to Karnataka. In fact, indeed, and there is, and that is a reality in the society which we all have to deal with. We may brand it with one title or the other title, but by having said that, you will not brush away from the fact that it exists.
But then, Mr. Naidu, if love jihad is such a social evil, shouldn't the government be deciding to keep some data, or at least a definition of what exactly do they mean by love jihad? And let me take that question across to Mr. Brijesh Kalappa. Mr. Kalappa, how do you look at the statement that Mr. Naidu was just making, that, just because you do not have the data, that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist? But when the Home Minister of Karnataka is putting it out in a written reply by saying that they have got no data, they have got no definition. So is this then not an effort by the BJP? Because when the state president, Kateel, is mentioning it, that focus on love jihad to save the future generations over and beyond infrastructure and development, it does augur a question for the BJP that what is the agenda? Why do you want to fan religious and communal sentiments?
See, Samia, in so far as this issue is concerned, let me just give you a contrast. There were 2 tiger deaths in Kodagu recently, right? And last year also there were 2 tiger deaths. There have been a substantial number of people who have been killed by elephants. Now, this issue has not been discussed in the assembly. Now, you have the issue of areca nut, where areca nut farmers are getting a very poor deal thanks to the fact that, there is a huge amount of imports which is coming up from other countries, and the areca nut farmers are crying without, proper sustaining livelihood amounts also coming to them. The same is the case of pepper. Now, we have been agitating that let the legislature discuss these issues. But no, the legislature has no time to discuss this. Can you imagine how much time the legislature took to discuss this issue of love jihad, where apparently the government has been able to find 3 cases? 20 days, Samia, 20 days of legislature lost thanks to this illusory subject of love jihad, which impacts nobody, which nobody knows the definition of, nobody has an idea what the hell it is, and then people want to, run it through as some kind of a narrative which is going to help. one political party win an election. It's shameful that a party which is bereft of subjects, which is bereft of any kind of idea of governance, is raising this issue of love jihad. The BJP has, when Mr. Modi came to campaign in Karnataka, he asked the people, give me a double engine. People even gave him a triple engine. Can you imagine that even the BBMP was given to the BJP, and today the number of pothole deaths in Bengaluru is in excess of 50. Have these people who have lost their lives thanks to potholes, have they been given jobs? No. But some person who has apparently been killed in communal conflagration, his wife gets a job. Now what about on the other side? No job. Supposing a person who has paid tax, he pays his road tax, he pays his vehicle tax, he pays all kinds of tax, he goes out, the roads are not good, he falls into a pothole and he dies. The government has Section 379 against him for rash and negligent driving. And, you know, in such a case, over 50 people have lost their lives. Has the government bothered to spend even 1 second thinking of them? Has the legislature bothered to spend even 1 second discussing their issues? No. But love jihad, which nobody knows about, there are apparently 3 cases throughout the state. Are these cases going to be convicted? God alone knows. But I'm saying, for a population of 6 crore, 3 cases, and the state legislature spends nearly 20 days discussing this issue. Can you imagine the absolute, the kind of funniness of this all, the kind of ridiculousness of this all?
Well, of course, Mr. Kalappa, you're making a pertinent point over there because it's eventually the public money and it's a cost to the exchequer when 20 days are devoted to find out a data of 3 individuals having gone through a conversion post their marriages, and that is what is being termed as a love jihad, which is supposed to be the threat to society. Let me take that question across to Ms. Adige. You know, Ms. Adige, what is a marriage? A union of 2 individuals who decide to come together for companionship, whether it's out of love or maybe the families decide. But why do the politicians or the netas have to take the pedestal to decide and intervene and, make this a political agenda? Don't you think that personal issues, which comes under the personal law per se, should be left to the wisdom of the 2 grown individuals? Why do you think the BJP is trying to make this a political issue ahead of the Karnataka elections?
You're absolutely right. Marriage, companionship, all of these are individual choices and decisions that every citizen in India has the constitutional right to make. No politician, no political party, no elected representative has a right to interfere over here. But the fact that they have interfered and literally squandered 20 days. We have paid taxes, they have used our taxes and they've squandered talking about love jihad, which is absolutely an illusion. There is no love jihad. But the kind of power that these people sit with without any accountability to us, the citizens, is what the impunity with which they go to say that they can discuss 3 cases and then come out shamelessly, blatantly saying we don't know the definition, we don't have the data. They must hang their heads in shame and after that resign. But they interfere because none of us are holding them to account. This kind of bigoted understanding, sending false information, telling people be afraid about it, and not being concerned for what they were elected into. You were not elected into to talk about all of this bigoted religious imperialism that you are putting into people. We want to question you. What has happened to protection and safety of women? How often do you think cases are registered? Even if there are any cases, where is the monitoring of all your CCTV cameras that you have purchased with the Nirbhaya fund? How many fast-track courts have you put into place? How many judges and prosecutors have you trained? Fast-track courts take over 3 years to decide a case of a woman who might have come there with all kinds of cases, from rape, domestic violence, and gender-based violence. None of this is discussed. You don't address it. You do not ask what is your mechanism doing, for which we pay, of course. There is no charity that we want from any of you. You have the gall to discuss love jihad, for which you have nothing. You neither have a beginning nor do you have an end. But because you are holding on to the power that we have given you, you discuss something like this and come out and say, we don't have definition, we don't have data, but we will have a law for it. And woe to anybody who raises their voice. If this is not bigoted imperialism on the citizens of Karnataka, what else is it? Women cannot question anybody. You have not extended any kind of confidence to women to say, if you are in trouble, come and we will see that you are protected and safety will be extended to you. Even your helplines do not extend immediate and emergency services. Your courts are all dying over there. Look at all our Anganwadi workers, our Paura Karmikas, they are Asha workers. They have asked you for wages, minimum living wages. You are not able to extend. You squander our money 20 days talking about love jihad. How dare you continue to incite this kind of violence and this kind of communal division? You have no right. And we, the women of Karnataka, are now telling you, stop talking about love jihad. There is nothing called love jihad. Some unholy person.
No, Mr. Riggi, you are well within your right. As a tax-paying citizen of the country, you are seeking accountability when it comes to public money. You are seeking accountability when it comes to women's safety, and you are well within your right to do that. But let me take that question across to Mr. Kishore Subramanian, who is also joining us here. Mr. Subramanian, you know, we here at Mirror Now focus a lot on civic issues, and we actually have covered a lot of civic issues coming from Karnataka, from Bangalore. Bad roads, road rage, the metro pillar collapse, people dying out of all these bad infra, civic infra, apathy. But these are not on priority list for the government of the day. But love jihad is. For which, if you feel it's so important, then you must maintain a data, a definition. You must have case to try and make a reference to. You have none of it, but you want, the BJP state president wants that this is the foremost focus that the party workers must put in place ahead of the upcoming Karnataka elections. But the focus is not on development or vikas. Mr. Subramaniam, what should be the priority for the BJP government in Karnataka?
Okay, first, thank you for having me on the panel. But let me tell you something very important. This one comment by one person from BJP does not represent BJP. Let me clarify the fact of the matter that I am not representing BJP here. For once, with my panelist, Mr. Brijesh Kalappa, I agree. Though generally I am not in agreement with Aam Aadmi Party. But here I am in agreement with Mr. Brijesh Kalappa as an Aam Aadmi, not a party member. So let me clarify that. This does not represent BJP's voice, because today at the center of politics is economic development. Today we don't live in that day and age where we can talk about religion, love jihad and other trivial matters which has no relevance to economic growth, how India is going to become a 5 trillion economy, and how Startup India is going to flourish and ensure that more and more people are alleviated from poverty and more middle class move into the higher class and the lower class move above the BPM. So these are the focus areas, and I think let us not focus on this fringe element statement. Let me make it with a lot of responsibility. This statement by whomsoever that we should focus on love jihad is absolutely senseless, and I don't think so it has relevance in national politics. Coming to the fact of the matter that Karnataka is going for the elections, there might be some things, but very, very important point raised by Mr. Kalappa is that we are wasting legislative time discussing this. This does not even require attention. For a country's growth, we need economics, we need good infrastructure, we definitely need Startup India to move, we need the young people to get jobs and more people to move above the poverty line. And for that, I think the center, the BJP as a party is probably the best doing its best in terms of the nation progressing. We are already the 5th largest economy. But remember, whenever such a statement comes from a political party president or a member of the party in any state, this gets blown out of proportion. I think as a news channel, it's important you picked up this topic, but remember, we should not give these statements importance, because I don't think so that's the basis on which any youngster.
But Mr. Subramaniam, when you are saying that Nalin Kateel's statement does not represent what the BJP feels, I think you are slightly mistaken over there, Mr. Subramaniam, because he is the state president. what a state president of a political party says in an election going year, it makes a lot of difference. He is not just a common karyakarta or somebody in the down the rung. He is the state president who is primarily deciding the agenda for the BJP ahead of the Karnataka elections. And when he makes a statement like that while addressing the cadre, it percolates down to the lowest common denominator that love jihad should be on your agenda, not vikas, not development. And this is coming from a BJP ruled state where it is an IT capital of the country is Bangalore. How regressive is that statement?
Okay, I agree with the fact of the matter that it is not probably a junior cadre member but a state president. I agree with that fact. But remember what I am saying. This does not represent BJP's standpoint from a national point of view. Yes, this statement was made to the lowest denominator does percolate, and it becomes a talking point for news channels. It becomes a talking point for people. It becomes a talking point for media. It becomes an article or an opinion which can be inflated upon. But I don't think so. BJP is going to fight this election basis love jihad. This is a loose statement. Whether it is responsible, irresponsible, correct or not, I would only say, as a responsible citizen, as a responsible media channel, we need to ignore such statement. The fact of the matter is BJP going to run this election basis love jihad, basis religion? No, I don't think at a national level policy they have this issue of running the country basis religion. The definition today, youngsters want jobs.
Ms. Adige wants to make a statement over there. She wants to make a point. Ms. Adige, please go ahead with it.
He is the state president and he has made this statement publicly. Did your party condone it publicly and say this fringe statement is unacceptable by my party? Please ignore it and we will ask him to apologize. Have you done that? If you haven't done it, then you're implying silently it is okay. Don't you say that, he's made a fringe statement, he made it in this kind of a manner that, come on, come out and publicly say, we disagree with this statement. He will apologize for making such a statement which incites communal violence.
1 second. Just hold on. First of all, when you ask me, did your party make, let me clarify my stand again. I don't represent BJP. I'm not a party member. So, but having spoken for the BJP, what I meant to say that the party as a national party for the last 9 years has not run its agenda on religion or such loose statements. We are economically going, the fastest startup in India. We are the fastest growing nation, the isolated growth center, the highest GDP in the world, and we are progressing with the maximum digitization. So I think BJP is running the country in the correct direction. These
Where are the people?
Irrespective of who makes it. Pardon me?
May I please come in?
Yes, Ms. Adige, please go ahead and make that statement. But before that, I would also like to remind Mr. Kishore Subramaniam that before we began this debate, I did play out that particular bite, that particular speech of Nalin Kateel, which was for all of you to hear it. If you want, I would request the producer to try and cue that bite once again for everybody to hear it. If you want the news channels to ignore it, then of course the BJP must also not make love jihad a political issue ahead of the elections. They should also ignore love jihad then. Let us try and play that across for the better understanding of our viewers and also our esteemed panelists. Please go ahead and play that particular bite of Nalin Kateel when he is mentioning love jihad being the foremost agenda.
ಮೋರಿ ಚರಂಡಿ ಸಣ್ಣ ವಿಷಯದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಬೇಡಿ. ವೇದವ್ಯಾಸ ಹೋದಾಗ ಕೈ ಎತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ನಳಿನ್ ಕುಮಾರ್ ನಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ. ನಳಿನ್ ಕುಮಾರ್ ನಕ್ಕು ನಿಮಗೇನು ಬಂಗಾರ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಕಳ ಬದುಕಿನ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಲವ್ ಜಿಹಾದ್ ಎಂದು ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಬೇಕಿದ್ರೆ ಭಾರತೀಯ ಜನತಾ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಬೇಕು. ಲವ್ ಜಿಹಾದ್ ಎಂದು ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸಬೇಕು.
So you heard that? He says that minor issues like drainage and road must not be taken up, but love jihad should be taken up for our future generations. And this is the same BJP state government who does not have data, has got no definition to go by it. What is this dichotomy?
I am not telling you that this is a correct statement or a responsible statement. All that I am telling you is BJP is not running its campaign basis this. Is this statement correct or responsible? I am not vouching for that. I am only asking the news channel not to play and blow this up. There are many other good statements on the internet and people who are
Okay,
speaking.
Mr. Subramaniam, we get your point, and we will decide whether we want this to be given credence to or not, because from our understanding, of course, if the BJP feels that love jihad is an important subject, then perhaps they should at least minimum have data for it. Ms. Adige, please go ahead. You were wanting to make a point for it.
See, when they continue with this love jihad, what they are trying to tell us is we undermine women, we undermine women's decisions, our choices, and our rights. That is what you are trying to say. You might talk about digitization, but what you are implying with all of those statements and spending 20 days discussing love jihad is we will talk about gender equality, protection, and all that. We won't give you anything because we do not agree that women must have an agency, that women must decide, that women can choose who their life partners must be. That is a big problem for us. No matter what you talk about economy, you might talk about digitization, you might talk about going to Mars.
Well, absolutely, Ms. Adige. As far as the religious freedom is concerned to choose your partner, why do politicians and Neta feel that they have an upper hand to decide who a woman should get married to, what is right for her, or what is the area of safety net around her? Mr. Kalappa, you wanted to make a statement. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say this, Samia, that I just heard Mr. Subramanian, and he's, of course, appalled that the BJP is indulging in this. And he says that, no, these are all fringe voices. Well, let's accept that Mr. Kateel is a fringe voice. Let's accept for a moment. But it was not Mr. Kateel's idea that this issue should be occupying the forefront of legislative business, and that 20 days of legislature should be devoted only for this non-issue called love jihad. So was it Mr. Kateel who was deciding this, or was it the government? Or is this a government program that there should be love jihad discussion for like 20 days in which, in which there is discussion and so on and so forth? Or is this some kind of a French statement? See, ultimately, if it's only Mr. Kateel making a statement, understandable, done, no problem. But the government actually invests so many days of its time, and as you know, legislative time is very, very sparse. In fact, like I told you, I wrote a letter, a detailed letter to the Chief Minister saying that I hail from Kodagu, and then there have been continuous tiger attacks. And people in Kodagu, we own guns. So why are we not allowed to use guns on a man-eater? Now, unless there is a discussion, there is no decision going to be taken. Tiger attacks are continuing. Last year there were 3 people who died. This year there are 2 people who died. So it's a continuing affair. And the legislature doesn't have time to discuss this. I'm begging that the legislature take up issues like arecanut, take issues like pepper, where the cost of pepper has fallen to a very low sum. And people, the farmers are being stung in their pockets. But the legislature has no time. And we have, Mr. Subramanian who's saying, no, this is just a fringe person and he doesn't have any bearing on the BJP. Are we to believe this?
Mr.
Is this something, which we are experiencing, but saying that, no, we don't believe this?
Mr. Kalappa, let me first...
What is on priority for the BJP is the question that begs an answer over here. Mr. Subramanian, you want to make a point over there, but of course, civic apathy in Bangalore, in Karnataka, has claimed lives. Why is that not a priority to be discussed? In the 20 days that was whiled away discussing love jihad, and it only threw up a data of 3 such cases. Why isn't water issue or bad roads or potholes an issue that the state governments, which is again the BJP state government in Karnataka, feels the need to be discussed threadbare when the house is in session? Now, the Chief Minister of Karnataka is somebody who also participates in these discussions. He never said that the issue of love jihad should be avoided, just like Mr. Subramaniam is requesting media to not lay any focus on it.
Yeah, okay. So let me first tell Mr. Kalappa that I did agree with him that the legislative time of 20 days or whatever number of days exactly has been wasted on this topic is not worthwhile. Answering you, Samia, let me be very, very clear and responsible in telling what I meant. I am only requesting Please note my words, and I'm carefully using it. I am only requesting the media not to give this priority and blow it up. I'm not saying don't report it. I'm not saying this should be ignored and you forget about it. Let's move on. I am only saying don't extrapolate this to be BJP's national agenda. Don't extrapolate this to be BJP's primary plan for the election. Don't extrapolate this as BJP's mandate to do what they want to do. Don't extrapolate this as the national agenda of the Prime Minister. I don't think so. In 8 to 9 years, not even once our Honorable Prime Minister has ever spoken about love jihad or any such thing. It is important to note that the national presence and the national pipeline with which they are focused on developing this country is the core focus. Yes, it is quite not acceptable that
but
you
Mr.
waste
Subramaniam, I will have to interject and tell you is that neither has the BJP top brass ever cracked the whip or pulled up those BJP party functionaries who have spoken about love jihad either. Never has the national BJP leaders have rebuked those political party leaders from their BJP who have taken up love jihad to be their primary agenda to fan religious sentiment. And with that, and on that note, I would thank all our guests for taking out time and joining us here on this important debate that we were taking out time and discussing at the Urban Debate. Appreciate all of you joining us. We have a paucity of time, but we shall come back to you for more updates on this very issue.